always good.
So how did you, what, like, so tell me about like how this started.
The podcast?
Yeah.
I love this
Oh,
story. Do you
you
want to
love this
tell it this
story?
time, or do you
I
want
mean,
me
I
to?
can.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
can tell it real quick. I mean, back in the day, back in like early 2000s, myself and some friends had like an online music magazine.
Okay, cool.
So we did the same thing. We interviewed bands, but it was like in person with like a tape recorder or a
Oh,
digital recorder and all that
with a
stuff.
tape recorder.
I
Whoa.
know. That little handheld one. And then, you got
Yeah.
smart and then you got a digital one instead.
Yeah,
So you
you're
didn't have
giving
the tiny
millennial.
little
I don't know. You're
tapes.
kind of giving millennial over there with the tape recorder.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're elder emos, me and Chris,
Yeah.
so
Me too. I'm an elder
Yep.
emo too. Yeah.
You're considered one, yes. You're younger than
Yes.
us, but you're
Yes.
considered one.
Yeah. I'm in there. I'm actually probably like right in the middle, but
Yeah, there's a
anyway.
weird gap. But
Yeah.
yeah, we I had that magazine and then rewind to like fast forward, I mean, to like just last year. I was like, man, I really miss doing that. I really should like start a podcast or something. Everyone's can do it. I've seen other people start them. I'm like, let me do it. Let me do it.
Dude, that's
And
awesome.
so Chris and I have known each other, I don't know,
20 years now,
like
more than
20
20
years
years.
now from
Oh,
MySpace.
MySpace. Lord. What are we gonna
Yep.
talk about next? Club Penguin? Like, wow.
We might. No, I don't even
Yeah,
know. You
I
might know
know.
that, Chris. Do you know Club Penguin? No.
Oh, you never did Club Penguin? Oh, it was a good time. Good time to be alive.
But yeah, so MySpace, but we've never met in person
Cool.
because I'm in Wisconsin, he's in New York.
Oh, cool.
But we were at a Warp Tour together and we didn't even know it.
Sick. Love that.
But so I was like posting on Facebook and I was all like, I think I'm going to start a podcast, blah, blah, blah. Anyone? And then blah, blah, blah. And Chris is like, do you need a co-host? And I
Yeah.
was like, actually,
Yeah.
I actually had you in mind and I was going to message you about that because he used to be a
That's
fan of
cool.
my online zine.
Cool. Wow. Wow, man.
So
That's
yeah, so
awesome.
somehow we reconnected that way and we started the podcast together.
That's amazing. And here we are.
Yep, in July it'll be 2 years of the podcast.
Wow. Oh my gosh,
So,
that's so cool.
and
That's
we've
awesome.
interviewed a lot of great bands and great artists and everything.
All in like the alternative, because a lot of them seemed like in the alternative space too.
Most of them. We've done a folk artist.
Oh, sweet.
We've done a comedian.
Okay.
Hmm.
We've done a couple like behind the scenes people, I guess you would call them.
Okay.
Like an what would you call it? Like an audio engineer? Is that
Yes.
Oh,
what? Okay.
sweet.
And
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
we're all for like musical artists and everything, but I mean, it was fun to like
Oh,
learn more about like front of house stuff from
yeah.
the audio engineer and all that. So I mean, I'm all for having anyone on the podcast. Like
Mhm. I
it's
mean, folk is
industry
like,
related, you
yeah,
know.
like I also think like folk is just like alternatives like Amish cousin. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's just like it's right in there
Well,
with
I
us.
think
Like you could sit with us. You know what I mean? It's right in there.
well, I think Chris, you're talking about Sam, right?
Yeah, and he's into metal. So like he's
Yeah,
a
see
folk artist
they
that's into metal.
dude,
Yeah.
every like folk person I know and shoot, why can't I think of that genre right now? Like the Billy Strings of the world, like they are super into metal. Like super into metal. And I'm like, we're the same.
Right.
We're doing some different stuff, but we're the same. Like our spirit is the same.
Right. But yeah, I mean, Sam is also a YouTuber
Mm.
and everything. And we also did interview a YouTuber called Ginger Slaps.
Oh, cool.
She does lots of reaction videos to like
Cool.
harder music usually.
Okay.
But yeah, so we've had on lots of different guests and everything.
Cool.
Got to mix it up a little sometimes.
Yeah, totally. Also, and just show the industry, like if you just stick to artists, like that's so a lopsided side of the industry. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there's so many things to make an artist who they are and to make them like run and
Right.
to show like the inner workings of behind the scenes of how that works. Like just to give people like a complete view. Because, you know, a lot of times, like artists, like even probably in today's interview, it's like so many questions about myself and whatever, and I'm going to be yapping on about me. But like in reality, like it takes so many people to do everything that to make happen what I'm
Oh
making
yeah.
happen,
Oh
you know?
yeah. I mean, hell, Chris, you tried to contact John Feldman, but I doubt he's going to get back to us. You
Yeah, no,
never
I
know
don't think
though.
so.
Dude,
I
that's
tried.
awesome. That'd be great.
He
Yeah,
hasn't gotten back to us yet.
he's such in like a bubble from what I've heard.
Yeah.
I actually just had a meeting the other day and they were like, "Dude, you and John Feldman should like write together." And I was like, "Don't mess around with my emotions. Like if we're gonna write, we're gonna write. Like so don't like just throw it out there with no like action behind it." And he's like, "No, no, I'm serious." And I was like, "Okay, cool, you know." So fingers crossed for me and John Feldman. But yeah, supposedly he's just like one of those guys that's been in the industry for so long and he just has his like crew and has his stuff like really dialed in and on his side, which I get, it's like he doesn't have to do anything. He's
Yeah.
already good to go, you know?
So he can pick and choose what he wants to do, but I mean, it's not
He
like we
might want
haven't
to
had
go.
people on the podcast that he knows. Because, I mean, we
True.
had Mike Herrera on, and Mike
Yeah.
Herrera is in Goldfinger now.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. Yeah, that
So
would be cool. That would be super sick. I'd be jealous if you guys got to do that. I'm
I
like, do you
was,
need a third co-host?
never know. Cameos, cameos.
There you go.
We've
I
done a
was,
couple of
I
those.
was gonna tell you, Chris, like, well, we could always see if Aaron Sprinkle would come on. He's got his own podcast, I think.
Oh,
I saw,
wow.
I saw that. I'm like, oh, that'd be, yeah, let's get him on. He's done a lot of work for artists that we listen to and have probably
Yeah,
interviewed, you know.
totally. You have like
But
a really good like radio voice though. Like it's real soothing.
my
Like you have that,
voice,
It's
yeah.
got to be your voice because it sure as hell isn't mine.
Yeah. Because I mean, like your voice is good too, but like she's got that like 94.7 The Wave. Like she's got that even tone, like good sultry sounding voice. Like it's perfect.
well, that's
There you
good. I'm
go.
glad my
Oh,
voice is not annoying. But apparently, my whole face is annoying to some people on the internet.
The internet will find anything, I swear to God.
Yeah. The latest thing is you know Bucky's.
Of course.
I got told I look like the logo.
What?
I was
That's
like,
wrong.
that
That's
girl
not
looks like
true.
she was plucked straight from the Bucky's logo.
and then
I'm like,
what? It was earlier today, right? Somebody donated the Bucky's mug,
yeah, I work
and
at a
she
thrift store.
Wow.
Someone
she took.
donated a Bucky's mug and I held it up and took a picture.
Yeah, there
And
you go. That's
I was like,
great.
wait, I see the resemblance. If you got a red hat, a black nose, and we're a beaver, like I get it.
Right. You're like prime rib on the board. Like you're
I've
ready to
never
go.
even been to Bucky's, but I know what it is.
Oh
And I'm
man,
like,
Bucky's is if I could rant on Bucky's. I could literally rant on Bucky's. It is the Walt Disney World of gas stations. It's
that's
incredible.
what I've been
It's
told.
it's actually insane on how they just have that as a well-oiled machine. It is wild and you can get like I would honestly if a Bucky's was near me, I would eat lunch there every day. Every day. Like they've got incredible food. I'm like, man, who's the chef? Like compliments to the chef back there because it is chef's kiss. It's really good.
Well, Chris, should
Well,
we get this
Jess,
party started?
Let's
sure.
get it started.
We could just talk here forever about
Oh,
random things,
I have the gift of
but
the gab for
I
sure.
know me and Chris, I mean, I kind of do. I don't know about Chris.
No, I do. I wait for the right moment to really punch it in.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
Uh,
But we are good at getting on tangents as we go through too.
it's true. We do get on side
And we
tangents all
also
the time.
bicker like brother and sister.
That's great. I love that.
Sometimes, sometimes. All right, Chris took a drink.
We're ready.
Oh, you gave me the first question. I completely thought it was you.
You didn't look
Um,
at your notes.
We're
so
waiting on you, babe.
I did. So if you could introduce yourself to the listeners.
Absolutely. Yeah. My name is Geena Fontanella. I'm a millennial punk artist. Um, I mean, I'll probably just leave it at that. Like, I feel like simplicity is key. But I do a lot of singing, a lot of social media and stuff like that. But yeah, it to my core, that's what I am.
And I'm sure you've been asked before, could you run through kind of like your origin story, how you came into, let's say, everything that you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in kind of a musical family. Everybody in my family either like sings in church, plays an instrument in church, everything or somewhat of another. And everybody in my family, for the most part, is musically inclined, except for I have like one cousin that's tone deaf. Like shout out Blake, you're tone deaf, you know it. He wanted it. He wanted to be a worship leader so bad, and we were like, it's not for you, baby. Like it's just we couldn't do it. So yeah, I grew up in kind of a musical family, and then as I got older, I realized I really loved singing, but I was a super tomboy, like big tomboy, like played every sport under the sun. Even like as I got older, like almost played like Division 1 basketball, like it was just sports were my life or whatever. And I just thought it was like too girly to sing. Like singing was a girly thing. And I was like, ah, I can't do it in front of people and whatever. And eventually I got into high school. And when I got into high school, there was choir as an option for like an extracurricular. And I was like, cool, I'm gonna do that. Like that'll be my in. And I switched schools a lot. So every time I switched schools, I kind of like got a little girlier and a little girlier, like started doing my hair or started doing my makeup and like slowly transitioning my image so that I could get into singing, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know what my thought process was back then. But so anyways, this teacher ends up having choir and she goes, "Okay, we're going to do auditions." And I was like, if she does auditions, I'm taking art. Like I'm not going through this with this. Like I'm not singing in front of nobody. I'll sing in a group, but don't put me on the spotlight like that. So anyways, they end up not really having like enough people for the choir. Like we barely had enough to make a choir. So she's just like, we're taking all of them, all the good, all the bad. We're taking them all, you know? So we start learning the song, and there's like an opportunity for a solo. And so, and again, I'm at this point, I'm like, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm just gonna chill in the background, whatever. So people start trying out for the solo, and I'm like, what is this? Like the opening auditions for American Idol. This is horrible. And I'm talking about OG American Idol, like seasons 1 through 5, like where they just put people on blast for sounding bad. I'm like, dang, like I can sound, you know, arrogant 15-year-old me is like, I sound better than these fools. Like I can sing better than these fools, right? And you would never think this now, but like it took me 2 weeks, 2 weeks to get the guts to sing, like to audition for the solo in class. And so finally she goes, "This is the last day. Like, if you want to try out for the solo, you need to do it now or forever hold your peace." So, anyways, I raise my freshman hand and solo comes up and I just like rip into it. Like, I just put my little heart into it. People start like dropping out of the choir and like turning around and looking and like whatever. And so I finished my solo and there's like another part of the song with another solo. And the teacher actually just stopped after my solo and was like, "Where did that come from?" And that was kind of it. From that moment on, I was like, wow, I've broke into this. Like I can sing in front of people. I was like on my worship team at church. I was like every time there was a school performance, I was performing at the school. I was like on the school worship team. Like I was just fully in it, and then started playing some coffee shops around town. Ended up going to school for music, got my degree, my vocal performance degree, which is so weird because nobody in my field, especially a singer in this field, has their degree. I'm like a unicorn in that. But then that ended up taking me to Nashville. And when I was in Nashville, I would tour full time. I basically booked like 125 shows a year, and traveled 9 months out of the year and just was doing that full time. And then even a longer story short, ended up stumbling into social media, and that kind of started my journey from there, where I was like, oh, if I want to go on tour with bigger people, and open for them, I need to be like in the city to meet them because I'm traveling all the time for tour. I never meet anybody. And so from there, I was like, cool, I need to like stay in the same place. And I had already moved back to California, which is where I'm from originally, and just started hustling on social media, hustling in the studios and things like that. And basically that kind of panned out, which is great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. A long journey.
I
Yeah, that
know.
is.
It's so weird to like look back and be like, oh my God, that was like 15, 16 years ago,
Yeah,
and
I was gonna say, how old were you when you were living in Nashville
I was,
when you first moved there?
yeah, I think I was like 22, 23, and then I lived there for like 3 years. And then, yeah, around the time that I started thinking about, oh, like, I'm never in town to meet anybody. Like, nobody's, because everything, especially in Nashville, it's very relationship heavy. It's very like, can I go grab a beer with you, or can I go get a coffee with you? Like, or invite you to my kid's, birthday barbecue bash, or like, you know what I mean? Like some random thing like that. And I was just never in town to like really cultivate like strong relationships with people, because I would be there and then I'd be gone for 3 months, and then I'd come back for a month and gone for 3 months again. And it just was an endless cycle, which I loved. I mean, my favorite thing is definitely touring, but it was just, I had to make a switch if I wanted to be able to grow my
Hmm.
artistry and grow my business and whatever. And luckily I made the right choice. I mean, it's like any choice could have put me on a different parallel universe like path. So it's just
Right,
weird sometimes to think back like, oh, what if I didn't take that solo in class, you know? Or what if I didn't do this, and where would I be?
right. I mean, you only live once, so I mean, you gotta take those leaps when you can.
Totally. Absolutely. Yeah, I remember just a pit in my stomach. Like just a fire. Like I was like, you need to raise your hand. Like don't let this like I just remember like do you guys follow I don't follow him, but I see clips of like David Goggins and I'm like, you mother effer, you better raise your hand. Like don't be a sissy, like raise your hand. Like I'm just like yelling at myself in my own head to be like, do it, and then I do it, and it ends up being great or whatever. But sometimes those moments like they come to you, and you're like, man, I just have to be able to do this, at least to be able to say that I did it and I don't have any regrets about not doing it. I think that's probably my biggest driver as just a person, is like I would rather regret that like I did it and it didn't work out. Like I'd rather be like, I tried it and it didn't work out and I failed, and like who cares? Than like regret of like, oh, what if I would have taken that chance? Like would all of these other things would have happened? I can't, that drives me nuts. I would go insane thinking about the opposite. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think about that sometimes. I mean, I only did choir in like sixth grade, but they said I was like an alto, which would kind of make sense because I got
That
that
makes
deeper
sense.
voice, that radio voice, right?
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. You got the voice.
And then
You
all
only hit
those
the low notes.
and then all those other things you mentioned, we saw that you're also like a vocal coach, writer, and producer. How do you balance everything?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I probably take on more than I should chew, like on a daily. Like I definitely my strength is like, I mean, I don't meet very many people that outwork me. Like I am like a hard worker. And there's probably a whole background like with that of like I grew up with a single parent, and like you just work your way out of situations. Like that's it. And that's just like kind of ingrained in me. So I'm like 9 times out of 10, I'm like, I will outwork everybody. Like, even if I meet somebody that works harder than me, it's like inspiration to me. I'm like, oh, they're doing it this way. Like, now I know, like, how do I get to their level? You know what I mean? Like, it's like a really motivator for me. But uh, yeah, it's kind of a weird combination because so I started as an artist, and then to get in with these other artists to hopefully go on tour with them, I was like, I needed even be a better songwriter than what I am. And so my way to get into that was like through songwriting. And so then I started like songwriting for other artists and building relationships that way. But then you start realizing as a songwriter that like you ain't gonna make squat money unless you have some part of the master. Like you've got to get on the producer side. And I know there's like a whole, a lot of people debate on like, songwriters shouldn't have to do that, and like like songwriting should still be an affordable career where like you're making enough money to live. And I get that. I agree with that. Like I think songwriters get the short end of the stick all the time. But for me, I was like, who knows when that's going to get fixed? Like, I don't know when that's going to get fixed. So I need to get in where I can get in, and started like vocal producing. I originally started with vocal producing myself, and then that kind of led into other production. I would definitely say I'm more of like a vocal producer and I play guitar and piano, and so I can lay down like all the instrumentation and things like that, but I wouldn't say like I'm the best like programmer. Like I don't really do like the drum situation. Drums is like such an in-depth, like to get that right sound in a kick and a right sound in a snare. I don't have time for that. I don't have time to sit there for hours. Like, here's the guitar, here's the piano, here's some dope vocals, and like, let's keep it moving. And vocals are a huge part of the production of a song. I will say that. But yeah, so that's kind of how I got in and started working with other artists and started like really getting in like my angle because I did so many things. I was like almost a jack of all trades in that sense. And so I really like, and it helped me. It helped my career because I knew exactly how I wanted my vocals to sound. And if they didn't sound that way, I could communicate it to the producer and be like, hey, this is what I need the EQ at. This is, and it really helped me have a better understanding of the other side of the song, which is like the producers and stuff, and be able to communicate to them like, hey, like, some the high end is off or the low end is off and whatever. But yeah, I definitely bite off more than I can chew. Like even now this year, I'm like the plans I have for this year, even just on the social media aspect, like an outsider looking in would be like, you're nuts. Like focus on one thing, you know? And I don't know, and I'm not ADHD. I mean, maybe I am. I don't know. Maybe I'm a creative ADHD. I don't really know. Like maybe, but I've never been diagnosed with ADHD. I'm pretty sure I'm not. I have a good focus. My boyfriend's ADHD, so I have a good point of reference to be able to tell if I am or I'm not. But yeah, it's just I think there's just that like hard worker mentality and just like cool, like I already know how to streamline these things. And like because I've streamlined those things for my week, they're done at the top of the week and like within 3 hours or 6 hours or like whatever. So like what am I doing with the rest of my time?
Right.
And how do I push the needle forward in my career and so on and so forth.
So, speaking of writing, what is your writing style like? And what is the oddest thing or the craziest place a song idea has ever come from?
Oh, that's interesting. Uh, my writing style is very interesting because when it comes to writing for myself, obviously I'm writing more in that alternative space, that like millennial punk space. Like I'm really trying to bring back the music that we all loved like in the beginning, like that Y2K sound, like that vibe, right? Like bring back like OG Blink 182, bring back OG Avril and like all these kind of artists. And I think there's definitely like a movement happening there where people miss that. Like, it's like hashtag elder emo. Like there's just like a whole like community of elder emos that are like, no, we want this music. Like we need it. We want it, like whatever. And I just miss it. Like I miss OG Paramore. I miss like just those bands and like those artists from that period of time and whatever. And so my writing style for myself is that. But when I write for others, I've actually been very strict on not writing for artists that do the same music that I do. Because I don't ever want to give away like in essence like the sauce.
Yeah.
Because time and time again we see all these like songwriters that are incredible and they end up trying to have like an artist avenue, but they've already given their sound away. They've already given it to Selena Gomez. They've already given it to Ariana Grande. And so when they go to do their own stuff, they either have to reinvent what their sound is, which is probably organically who they are and what they sound like, or they have to try to release music and everybody be like, oh, this just sounds like an Ariana Grande song. And
Yeah.
you're like, okay, but I'm not a second-rate Ariana Grande artist. I'm like the core of Ariana Grande. You know what I mean? And so I kind of picked up on that, like, I don't know, really early in my career. And so I've been really strict on not writing with artists that do the same sound as me. And I'll give them songs that I've decided aren't for myself. If I'm like, oh, hey, like I'll constantly be pitching songs because why have a song sit in your library and make no money? So I'll be doing that. But for the most part, all the artists that I work with are actually like totally opposite of me. Like I currently have two artists that I'm working with right now, and like one is like her vibe is like the all-American girl. Like it's just very like almost like Colby Calais, like all love songs. You won't hardly see any love songs on my project. Not because I'm not in love, it's just like not innately what just comes out of me. But like hers is like all love songs and stuff like that. Then I have another artist that's more of like a Tex-Mex kind of artist. Just totally different. So a lot of the songs that I'm like credited on as a songwriter is like, wait, hold on, like she wrote this? Like it's so opposite. It's more like in the pop world, ballad world, which I don't write a lot of ballads. Obviously I do, but I don't, you know.
Right.
So it's very counterintuitive. But in terms of weird places I've thought of a song concept, like I mean, I've definitely thought of some on the toilet. That's for sure. Like I feel like we all have a good thinking session on the toilet.
Sometimes, sometimes.
You get the
Maybe
crap
while you
out
were
one way and then
stuffing,
it frees you up here.
maybe when you were stuffing your face at Bucky's.
Yeah, right. It's just like, oh man. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think. I've definitely written some songs in some interesting ways though. Like one time I was working with an artist and I had this concept for her, and so I had told her about it and she was like, "Oh yeah, we definitely got to write that one." I was like, "Yeah, I think so." And so I had written some stuff down about it or whatever. Well, next thing I know, like 2 days later, I get a call, like she's in New York. I'm in DC. I was literally outside the White House. Okay. I'm literally like, my boyfriend and I are in DC. We're like, let's go check out the White House, like whatever, right? So we're on 1600 Pennsylvania. And I get a FaceTime and she's like, "Hey, I've been thinking about that song. Like, I kind of came up with this little melody. What do you think about it?" And I'm like, "That melody's fire." We wrote the whole song on FaceTime in 30 minutes. It ended up landing on the album. I flew to New York like right after that, and we got in the studio and produced it out and like tracked everything and whatever. But we wrote the whole thing except for the second verse on FaceTime. And I'm literally standing at like her view of me is me and then White House. It's wild. So inspiration hits whenever it hits.
Yep, it definitely does. It definitely does. So I saw on your Instagram that you were in the studio. What are you working on right now, if you don't mind us asking?
Yeah, so I've definitely have been working on some new music and working on releasing I'm going back and forth. It hasn't been decided, but I'm definitely going back and forth with dropping like another EP, another project. Um it's just like I have so many songs now and so many songs that I'm like, oh no, this one's fire. Oh no, this one's fire. Like they're gonna love, like my fans are gonna love this one. And like, and I even show them, like a lot of times I'll show like my music I've been working on my live and stuff like that. And people will be like, oh, this is like the vibe and like whatever. But there's only so many singles you can release in a year. Like it's just that's the truth. So but I've been hustling in the studio for my own stuff, and like this year is definitely like a year of like music is coming out and it's coming out full force, and um arguably probably the music that's even going to come out or people are going to upset some people and it's going to be whatever. Like if you think the song's about you, that's a you problem kind of thing. But it's definitely exciting and like totally just in the like again like Y2K space, like bringing back that sound, like bringing back the nostalgia of like songs that we missed. uh and yeah, it's just cool, and I'm excited who I'm working with too. Like I like this year, like the set I'm already booked up session wise, like all the way through March, and like I'm looking at the calendar of who I'm working with, and it's like people that I've always wanted to work with. You know what I mean? Like maybe John Feldman. Hey, like we might get John Feldman on the calendar. I don't know, but regardless of him, just other people that it's cool because the community, the alt like community, is so in LA. It's like it's very small and it's very interconnected. So like once you kind of get in and you've worked with like 4 or 5, 6 people, and they're all like, "Oh man, we love working together, blah 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 blah." Like everybody starts working all together. Like it's like it opens up. So it's a small community. It's hard to get in, but once you get in, it's like, "Oh, cool, I get to work with like this person who I've loved for forever and this person who I love for forever," and just like slowly navigating those. So it's I'm really excited to see what songs come out in the next 3 months. and excited to see like what I'm gonna release. I know what I'm gonna release these next like few months. There's some that are still up in the air on the timing of it all, but it's yeah, I'm super pumped. I'm probably gonna release more music this year than I have ever, which I think is
Yeah.
gonna be awesome.
Well, your fans will really enjoy that.
Yeah, shout out Fontas. Let's go.
I was gonna say we should make a pact. If one of us gets John Feldman, we can name drop one another.
Yes, I'm so down. So down. I'm like, I had an interview with these guys. Like, you gotta check them out. They emailed you.
Yeah, if he emails us back, we'll be like, you can come on our podcast and you should check out this great artist.
Yeah.
She'd love to work with you.
Dude, I'm down. We'll make a pact right now. I hand to God, I will do it. I have no shame when it comes to those situations, like at all. Like, in people either like love that about me or they don't like that about me. Like, I literally would just be like, just ask, like, just say it. Why
Yeah,
wait?
I mean, people always say it's not networking is important and
Mhm,
it's who you know and who other people know. Like
totally.
that there's a reason we got some of the guests we had on the podcast because I knew other people and all that and got them on the podcast. But
Yeah,
sometimes it's really hard to get in touch with people.
right. You mean to tell me it wasn't your sultry voice? You mean to
No,
tell
it wasn't
me
my sultry
it wasn't
voice.
your sultry voice?
Nope, it was not.
They're like, this girl's made for radio. This girl's made for a podcast.
That's probably a really good compliment though, because I've never been told I have a sultry voice.
I mean, look at what you just did right there. Voice. Like that is just like
Try
I
and
feel like I'm in like the 2000s and I'm listening to late night radio. You know what I mean?
it's very, yeah, if you brought it down like half an octave and then like slowed it down, you'd almost be very Delilah-y.
I was just about to say Delilah. I was literally about to say Delilah. Exactly.
I don't even know
Um,
who this Delilah is.
What?
oh, you gotta look up Delilah.
I'll have to look up Delilah.
She's
I
been
Delilah's
on
the
air
probably
late
do
night
forever.
babe.
know. I probably do know, but I don't remember.
Yeah. But like guys, those like iconic like radio voices, and they always had that deep kind of like relaxing tone to their voice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's what you got going on. You should work it.
Well, it's good that I have a relaxing voice. It makes people more comfortable then, right?
Totally. I
You
feel
don't
at
want to
ease.
have an annoying voice and interview people.
Facts. That'd probably be me. They'd be like, this girl's voice is annoying.
Nah, you have a great voice. It's a very energetic voice. You're a
It's
very
great.
energetic person.
Yeah, and it's very loud. Like my mom's side of the family is massive. Like when we have Christmas, like this past Christmas, like it was at my house this year. So everybody came over and like we didn't even have everybody in my family. Like a couple of my cousins and their family were missing, but we had 50 plus people.
That's a
And
lot.
yeah, and that's a normal amount. And like so it's I was the youngest out of all my like so basically there's like a huge why am I even explaining this? But I'm gonna explain it. A huge chunk of my cousins were all born within like 7 years of each other, right? And then we have another little portion, like of five of them that were born like maybe 10, maybe even arguably 15 years after that. So the first portion, like we're all like crazy close, right? Because we grew up together, we were at every birthday party together and like all this stuff. But I was the youngest of that chunk. So if I wanted to be heard, I had to be heard.
Yeah.
So I ended up with this just super loud voice. Everybody in my family has a loud voice. They all do. They're, and then my dad's side of the family is Italian. So, that's a fight for your life.
Well, yeah.
So, anyways, I got the double-edged sword on that one.
Now we're gonna circle back. You were talking about your album Y2K, which is fantastic, I might
Thank
add.
you. Thank you.
My favorite songs on it are Normal Life and Just Myself.
Ah, I love that.
So if you had to pick though, what song would you pick as your favorite and why? I
Oh
know,
God.
it's a rough one. It's a rough
That's
question.
really hard. I will tell you this though, the Fontas are gonna love that you said that because that's their favorite songs. I mean, they are such a champion for Just Myself. They're just like want Just Myself to pop off so bad. Um, I always I mean, dang, that's really tough. I don't even know what to pick. I
I'm
feel like right
shocked.
now,
I'm
I know,
shocked. I'm
I
shocked you
know,
haven't been asked this before.
I know that's so hard though. I definitely think I haven't been able to perform this song live. Actually, there's two songs on there that I haven't been able to perform live yet since releasing that, and it's Bum and Just in Case. Just in Case has a special place in my heart because I don't release ballads, right? So if I'm gonna release a ballad, it's gonna be like gut wrenching, like really just like eat your heart out. So that song always has a place in my heart because I'm like, oh man, I wish people would like people who feel that way or have gone through something like that, like I wish they would connect with it. Now most of my stuff is like so upbeat, so a lot of the people that connect with me, they connect with that like high energy pop punk vibes, which obviously that's who I am. Like I'm very high energy, whatever. But I know there's like a little subgroup that is just like, let me just cry in my bedroom, and that I want that song to be that for them. And then just my probably it's probably just myself too, because I've been promoting the other ones for so long and I've been like performing them for so long that sometimes the ones that don't get as much love, it's like, you know, like you're like, oh, this is my baby. Like I want it to do so well. But like just myself was like my approach to like Alanis Morissette song.
Hmm.
Like it was very like ironic. It was very painting all these opposites like she does. She always paints all these opposites in her music. And so it was like my kind of like spin on that, like a 2020-ish version of an Alanis song. But I don't know. I keep posting that song and I'm like, one of these days that one's gonna pop up. I can feel it. Like I'll say this, when I perform it live, people like love that song. It's like one of those ones that like after the show's done, they're like, "What was that one song you played?" Like people ask about it. So we'll see.
It's
Yeah,
like the hidden gem on the record.
Totally.
I was gonna say when I listened to it, it kind of felt like it was, projecting a positive light of like self-being, or
Totally.
as I would say, being unapologetically you.
Exactly.
um, which I think it probably took me until I was like almost 30 to hit that point, to be honest with you. It took me a
Exactly.
long time to reach that point. I know you said people really like it, but have people reached out to you and be like, "Oh man, that really hit home. It helped me through something." Like,
Yeah, like so I've got like a really good core group of like, you know, you have your like Fanta fandom, which is like, you know, everybody that follows you and stuff like that, but you know, you always have your like super core group of your fans, right? Like they show up to everything. They're always like there. They're always like, "Oh my God, this song or this," right? And their favorite song has always been like Just Myself. Like they absolutely love that song. They go feral for that song. And a lot of people have said that like you allowed me to be like just like say no, like this is who I am. Like if I don't want to drink, I don't want to drink. And if I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this. And I don't want to go to a party and talk like politics and bull crap. Like can't we just kick there's so many other things to talk about. Like why are we talking about that? You know what I mean? And just like understanding to your core of like who you are and like whoever you are is cool in that moment, and you could be like, hey, I right now I'm this person, but I want to be this person in the future, you know, and that's even cool. But you got to at first acknowledge like where you're at currently to be able to go anywhere else, you know. And so many times, especially in your 20s, like obviously like I'm 32, right? So like I'm like you in the sense like you hit 30 and you're kind of like I don't need to prove anything to anybody. I don't care. Like you're either like with me and you like we're cool, or like you got a stick up your rear end that's so far deep in that it's coming out the other side. Like I you know what I mean? Like cuz I can get along with anybody. The only time I don't really get along with people are when people are like jerks. You
Yeah.
know, like that's just not like I'm not I typically am like a champion for the underdog, right? And when I see somebody picking on the underdog, like I don't vibe with that. Like I'll be the first one to stick up for that person. Um but yeah, it's just like everybody just relax. You know what I mean? Just everybody just take a chill pill. Nothing's that serious. Nothing that's going on in the media. Half the time take that with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? Like if you sit and you be currently who you are and you look around currently with like who's in your influence, like 9 times out of 10, dude, we're all chill. Like we're all like, it sounds so hippie of me to say that, but and I'm not really like a hippie kind of girl, but like it's just true. Like you just start instead of like focusing on the bad, and like I feel like, and that's what happens with the media, right? Like the media just, because it's entertainment, right? So like
Hmm.
the only thing that's interesting on the media is like what bad and what's clicking and like whatever, right? And they focus so much on the bad that it makes you as a person also focus on the bad, right? Instead of like, if you're focusing on the good, you'll see the good. It's like when you buy a red car, all of a sudden you're seeing red cars everywhere. Like, what are you making your focus? Like, what is the center of it? And if you focus on good, like, you really are going to see good. But it all stems from just like, you got to know thyself and know what you're into and know what you're not into. And it doesn't have to be like a, you know, like for me, like I've never really been like a big drinker. Like I just didn't grow up in a household that like drinking was like a normal thing and like a consistent thing. And so I just never got a palate for it. I don't care if people drink, but like I just never got a palate for it. But I remember like in my 20s being like, oh man, like you gotta, if people want to know, they can grab a beer with you, right? And so then I would go like out to these events and I would get like just a small little drink that I could like muscle through that I just like didn't even like. And then it got to the point where I was like, screw this, I'm just gonna get a Diet Coke because I like Diet Cokes, and then people will think it's a rum and Coke, and then I could just like, they're not gonna ask me either way. And then I got to a point where I was like, I don't, why am I even doing all this? This is like so like theatrical and drama for no reason. Like I don't like drinking. Like so why get a drink if I don't want it? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like, I also never really loved the color pink, and then I dyed my hair pink, and then I was like, actually this is kind of sick. I actually liked this, and I changed my opinion on pink. You know, like so it's just do whatever you want to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just like apologize later, you
I
know?
was I was straight edge for 7 years. So I mean,
Let's
and I mean
go.
and after that I really didn't drink that much anyways. Like
Yeah.
my husband and I did this had a few times where we were like into wine and stuff for a little while, but
Yeah.
even then I like had a glass. I've never been drunk in my life.
Yeah.
And
Good for
sometimes
you.
people are like, "You've never been drunk?" And I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
"Nope." I've been close. I've been like buzzed
Yeah,
on a
yeah,
New
yeah.
Year's Eve at a friend's house. But see,
Right.
my husband's like, "You were so close." And I'm like,
I
"Yep, but I
know.
wasn't there."
But I wasn't.
See,
You're
I
not
can't do
drunk
that
until you're
either.
puking in the toilet, aren't you?
Facts. Or some people are like, you've never blacked out. And I'm like, what are you doing to consistently black
Why?
out?
I always was
Why?
like, why would I want to do that? I've always been
Yeah.
that person that also was like the designated driver for me and my friends when we went out.
Yep. That was me
So I was
too.
like, I get free soda for that, usually from the
Yeah.
bartender.
You got
And
paid in soda. You could have upcharged way more. You undersold that to your friends.
no, I mean the bartender would just give me free soda. They'd be like, "Oh
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
she's our DD," and they would just give me
Oh,
free
bet.
soda. Oh,
Yeah.
well, she can have a soda for free.
Okay, cool. Well, that's actually
So
nice.
I mean, it was nice, but I
Yeah,
mean, I watched them get drunk a lot, and every single time I'm always like, "Yep, don't want to be them."
I know.
Yeah, it
Also,
must.
like once you hit 30, you feel horrible after drinking.
Yeah, I get like nasty like gastrointestinal distress. Like I'll bloat up like a birding rice at a wedding.
Oh, so you
Like
drink and get IBS. That's what you're telling
yeah.
us.
So like I don't drink that much anymore. As a matter of fact, we were not too long ago at a Mexican restaurant and my wife and I were like, "Oh, we're gonna split a drink." So we get like a larger one, but it
Mm.
didn't say how big this large was and it comes out in a fish
Oh,
bowl.
oh
And so
Lord.
like I took a picture of it and I actually text my mom. I was like, SOS. And she's like, What? What's wrong? I'm at the mall. And I sent the picture. I'm like, I need your help. She's like, I'll
Right.
be right there.
Right. Between this and the refried beans, I don't know what's happening when I get home.
You need your mom to help drink the drink, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Hey,
I
mom,
think I
emergency. Come get drunk off this margarita.
I think it was like 50 ounces. It was huge.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
all
could.
that tequila.
Yeah.
That's a lot of tequila.
Yeah. My
That's a
mom was like,
lot.
Wow, this is good.
Yeah. Yeah, for
I saw
sure.
what tequila did to a friend of mine, and I was like, "Yep, never having tequila."
Oh, tequila is always what gets you. It always what it's the
Tequila is
little
not
like,
your best friend.
it is not your best friend because people always bring out tequila after you've already been drinking for a while. They're like, "Hey,
Hmm.
tequila shots." And then that's what ends up being like every time I see somebody just look like haggard, like just straight up busted, I watch them be like, "Oh, this is cool. We got a good buzz." Like maybe they're like even a little drunk, but they're still like, "Woo woo," like coherent. The moment they take that tequila shot, it's throwing up, head in the toilet, like it's a mess. And I'm like, "No, I'm good." I also can't even do that now these days. Like, because if you're on tour, like,
Right.
you know, you have one night of that and then you're like out for like a week. Like vocally you're out, like, because you also dehydrated yourself and like all of that is creating like acid reflux and stuff. And then if you throw up, all that acid is going to your vocal cords, right? And you have so many people on the tour that are depending on you performing
Hmm.
that it's just you have to go so strict on it. And then after you've been strict on it for so long, you're like, do I even want it? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I'd rather waste the calories on a cheeseburger. Like
Right.
genuinely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That cheeseburger's not going to mess your vocals up.
It's not, it might, the cheese might, but but not as bad as the
Not as
tequila.
bad as the tequila.
Yeah.
So I'll also say I really enjoyed that you went all in with Dylan's dad when a lot of current content creators that I've seen are like bashing the original Stacy's mom,
Yeah.
being like, oh, that was like an inappropriate song. But isn't that just like real life? Like,
That part, yeah.
yeah, like people start relationships are like, oh, even in high school, like, wow, I really like this person, but dude, have you
Yeah.
seen their parents?
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Like it's like people don't want to acknowledge like just what reality is sometimes. And actually for me what was funny is the way that Dylan's dad came about was my boyfriend and I like had this realization that we would be like scrolling on TikTok and you know like there's all these TikTokers that like do videos with their parents, right? They're like 20 some odd, whatever, like 25, 24, and then they bring their parent in and then they're doing a dance or like something funny, right? Well, my boyfriend and I started watching these, like, started coming across our feed, and we'd be like, all right, like, you know, the kid's hot. The kid, they're 25. Let me just preface that. Like, you know, whatever, they're hot. But then the parent comes and we're like, well, they're kind of hot too. And we just realized that we were at this age where like both was appropriate. You know, like the 25-year-old is fine to date, but the like 55-year-old is also fine to date. And we were like, what is this? Like, this is so weird. And so I had written down, like, write a song about a hot dad, like in my notes, because I kept, like, we kept talking about, like, it kept coming up and we were laughing about it and whatever. And I was on my way to a session, with Liv Moraldi and David Burris, and I had sent a voice memo to Liv Moraldi, and I was like, "Hey, I want to write this song, kind of like Stacy's mom, but like different, like the reverse spin on it, like the female version of Stacy's mom, or the just the twist on it, right?" And I was like, I don't know what the name is. I was like, but here's my experience and here's my story. Like, I had a friend and we were all just like so hot for her dad. Like, we all were like, dang, he's super hot, and like all these things. And I was explaining like the whole story by the time I got there. But yeah, and then we were like, I didn't want to put the person on blast. Like I didn't want to, because also this is what's funny. So this girl in college, her dad was super hot, and we were all like, "Dang, her dad's hot," but she also had hot brothers. So there was like times where we'd be like, all of us would be like, "Oh, dang, should we date him? Should we date him?" Or like whatever. And then we would meet his dad, and we'd be like, "Dang, like you know," and the dad was already taken. The dad's like married or like whatever. But you know, it's just like this whole thing to where there's another song. I'll give a little like teaser here. You've heard it here. Like another song that's about to come out is like called Best Friend's Brother. Because that same girl who had the hot dad had the hot brothers. And so it's just like all these songs written about this one friend of mine, which one of these days I need to tell her. I don't even think she knows that it's like freaking about her. But yeah, so it's funny to see like most of the time the people that get Dylan's dad, although like Gen Zers definitely get the vibe, but it's mostly millennials. Like millennials will be like, even with normal life, millennials are like, I'm a mom with two kids, and like I love this song. You know what I mean? Because in the lot, like there's a song in the line that's like, let's see, I was always told just to walk a straight line, but I was never meant for this. Want a big house, not to be a housewife. Right. And so
Right.
all these like girls, like women that are like housewives, they're like, hey, I'm a housewife and I love this song. You know what I mean? So it's just like this whole, and I think millennials have like a very like sarcastic and sometimes like dark sense of humor, which I love. And Gen Zers are very like matter of fact. They're like, is
Hmm.
this appropriate or is it not appropriate? You know, and some of them have like really great sense of humors and they're just like, no, this is just kind of funny, you know? But anyways,
Yeah. My brother always had friends that I thought was cute. I don't know if I ever thought any dads were hot though. I'm trying
you
to
might need to
think
look
back.
back.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to think back.
I know. It's crazy though, because you get to this again, you get to like 30 or even like late 20s and you start looking around and you're like, all right, like the 25-year-old dude, like he's cute, but like his like 45-year-old dad is like kind of banging. Like because a lot of times like guys fill out later in age too, right? Like it's like their testosterone comes more in and they're a little bit more muscular now, they're a little bit more filled out, they got the beard now. Like it's like all those elements and you're like, okay, that's like a man. you know? Like look at Chris. Chris got a beard and everything.
Yeah, it took until about 30 to be able to fill in too.
Yeah.
I still don't. There's this one spot right here, like the Hitler area. It
Yeah.
doesn't fill in still.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, my boyfriend has that too. He has like you can't see it now because his beard's like really grown out to where like it kind of covers it, but you can still see if he has it trimmed short, like there's like a little patch here, a
yeah, I've
little
got that over here
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Hey, my husband's beard, he had to use like a derma roller and all this other stuff to get his beard
Oh,
to fill
yeah.
in and stuff in spots.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Your husband's bald in the beard.
yeah.
I still haven't taken that suggestion to do that, Jess.
Nope.
Yeah.
I've told
Next thing
Um,
him.
you know, her husband's like in Turkey getting like shaving and getting them to put the
and I'll also say, so no X is allowed hit me in a funny way. So for a good year or so after an ex and I broke up, gosh, probably what, 19, 20 years ago now, she kept showing up everywhere that I went. Like it was kind of
you.
a little creepy because I
Yeah.
wasn't like,
Thank you
hey,
for
I'm
saying
going to
that.
blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Although AIM was still around and I might have put up a status or two.
Yeah. To
But
see
like,
if she would show up. You were like
yeah,
egging her on to see if she would show
but
up.
it was weird. It was very, very weird. Did you write the song from a place of experience?
Yeah. No, so okay, this is what's funny. This is what's funny about Girl Math and No X is Allowed. Is both of those songs came from they came from personal experience, but they also came from a specific situation. I was in Vegas and my boyfriend and I were hanging out at the pool and there was like a group of girls there, like they were just all vacationing together. And we were kind of right next to them so we could kind of overhear their conversation. And the first conversation they had was, yeah, girl, like I knew something was up. Like I knew something was up. Like he was just acting weird or whatever. And then she said like I kept seeing on his phone that it said mom. It kept saying mom, and she's like, she's like, I know he don't talk to his mom in the morning because she's at work and like was doing all this shit. She's like, so I just girl mathed him. That's what she said in the pool. She said, I just girl mathed him, and I pieced it all together that was the wrong number and all these different things. And I was like, what the heck? So I wrote it down because every time I'm in like the world, I'm like, oh, that's a really cool concept or like whatever. And so I wrote it down, and then it happened to be also at the same time like girl math was like a really funny TikTok moment and like whatever. So it kind of just like all worked out. Same thing with no exes. This another girl in the same group, she was talking like, dude, we broke up like months ago. And every time I'm out somewhere, he's at the same bar. Every time I'm at a house party with some friends, there he is again. She's like, I know we share like the same friend group, but like, why are you always at where I'm at? You know what I mean? Or like she would be there and then he would walk in, right? And I definitely like in my younger like high school days, you break up with a boyfriend and like you have the same friend group and you have all that stuff and then like every time you go out to like some house party or something like you're there and they're there and now it's like this awkward thing and you and your girlfriends are in a corner and you're like I can't believe he's here, all the drama about it and whatever. So I was definitely pulling from that experience and also pulling from an ex that just like every time I went somewhere the ex was there. It was like he wasn't tracking me because there wasn't like tracking back then, but somehow through the grapevine either people were like, oh yeah, Gina's gonna be there or whatever. Next thing you know, he's there and I'm like, bro, get a life. like like we're moving on, like find somebody else might be really into that, but I'm
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, so Jess messaged me on the side. She knows me pretty well and she knows who I'm talking about. She's like, "Is it this person?" I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah. Exactly. And then what's crazy about that song is on social media, everybody's like, well, if they're there, like, aren't you their ex? Like, like they're trying to like overanalyze it or like, wow, like it sounds like they dodged a bullet or like whatever. And
It's
I'm
like,
like,
yeah, but if you were there first, And they
That's what
showed
I
up later,
said. That's exactly what I said. I said, yeah, but I'm there first. And also, if I'm not there first, still leave.
right? Oh yeah. I mean, you can always go to a different bar.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's like, you know what happens in a relationship like a lot of the time, and especially when you break up, it's like, you bring that person into your world, right? So like if you had a favorite bar, you take them to your favorite bar, right? Well,
Hmm.
now they're acting like that's their favorite bar. And you're like, no, no, no. I keep the bar in this breakup. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like this is my bar. You got to find a different bar. I understand you like the bar, but also this is like we're splitting things 50-50. You keep all your crap and all whatever, little birthday card you got from your mom or whatever the heck. I'm going to keep my crap and one of those things is the bar. you know.
Totally. That's how it should be.
It's
That's
basic
how it
basic
should be.
rules of breakups.
So I gotta know, how many times or attempts did it take to get someone to answer and agree to listen to Santa is my boyfriend?
Oh man, like on the street.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say
Well,
on the phone.
on the phone.
Oh, on the phone. Oh my gosh.
I mean,
Oh
we'll
man.
take both, the street or phone.
Yeah, so on the street, a lot of times when I have the signs up, once I get one person in there, usually then the flow starts happening. And then people are like, wait, I want to hear the song and I want to hear the song. And like people start sitting down, right? So but I'll probably like it's so funny to sit there for like a while because like the first like 20-30 minutes, nobody wants to sit down. Like nobody wants to sit down. Like they're still like, and what I'll do is the one I perform the most at it's in Huntington Beach. So it's on the pier of Huntington Beach. So a lot of times I'll do like I don't really know what I call it, but I'll put like I'll put a little nugget in their brain. So I'll see them walking, right? Like I'm at the first part of the pier, like one of the first seats you can sit at. So I'm seeing everybody walking past me, right, to get all the way down to Ruby's Diner at the end or whatever. So they'll walk past me and I'll be like, "Hey, like you into hot dads?" or like, "Hey, like you think Santa's cute?" or like say something to them, right? And I'll be like, sit down. Like I'll be like really cool like about it and like energized and like whatever. I'm like, come on, sit down. You'll love it. You love it. Only take 90 seconds. Like da 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 da, right? And they'll be like, no, 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 right? But I know that I'm gonna catch them on the backside. When they turn around and have to walk back because it's a pier, they have to turn around and pass me again. And usually I'll get them this second time around. So sometimes that'll take like 20-30 minutes because they got to make a full lap and it takes like 20-30 minutes to walk that pier. So I'll get them that way. On the phone call, honestly, sometimes second or third call. The one that I did on socials because I've done it a few times, I just haven't posted some of the other videos. That one was like the third call. And it was like boom, got somebody. The first one nobody answered because again, it's nobody answers like a number that they've never seen. So sometimes that's hard because I've done it before with like I think I did it with like Dylan's dad like maybe a year or so ago. And dude, I called like 8 or 9 numbers and like nobody answered.
Yeah.
Like
You could
nobody
probably
answered.
call my coworker. He'll like answer his phone to anyone that calls him
That's
when he's at
crazy.
work.
That's
Like
that's
his
crazy.
phone will be like, "Who is this?" And he'll just answer it. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, I don't answer phone calls I don't know. Because I
I don't
mean,
either.
if it's important, they'll leave a message.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually funny because maybe I should leave a message and be like, "Hi, I know this is a random call,
Call
but
me back.
call me back. I'm trying to show people my new song I wrote." And I bet you I'd get more people like to call back. That would be hilarious. I should definitely do that the next time around.
See if that
Um,
works, you know?
I know, right? Yeah, I get all these people randomly calling, and then I don't answer because it's a number I don't recognize.
And then you guys are playing a big old phone tag because they leave a message and be like, "You told me to call."
That would be hilarious. That would be awesome. Yeah, but the one that I posted, I think it was like yeah, I think it was like the third call that I'd gotten somebody. Again, sometimes it's like the luck of the draw. You get right
Yep.
in there and you just luck out that somebody's like maybe like waiting on a call from Verizon or something and they know they're not going to recognize the number so they answer it, and you get them.
That guy was pretty funny because he said he had a fever, I think, and he was like, "You just lowered it like 6 degrees."
Yeah. He was good. I've done some where like I'll be like, hey, like I'm doing this thing where I show people my music. I know I'm a stranger, like whatever. Can I show you a song? And they'd be like, yeah, sure, whatever. But they're just like personality wise, like monotone.
Hmm.
And then you're like, all right, like some of them some of them I plan on showing because it's funny that the person is monotone, you know? But there's only so many monotone ones I can show until you're like, all right, these are boring, you know?
Right.
So it was great with him because he was super funny and like had a good personality and was like he was like, I don't want to. And I was like, come on, like it'll be cool. I swear it'll be really, really quick. And so he was down and then he was a good sport about it. So
Yeah. Asking people to listen to your music reminds me of like the old days in Warped Tour when you're standing in line
yep.
waiting to listen to someone's Walkman.
Yeah. Oh man. Walkman's a deep cut too. I would have even gone like CD player.
Walkman, CD player, same thing,
Yeah,
right? They
I
both have
know.
CDs.
I know. But
Because there was a Walkman CD player as well.
there was. I forgot. There was that. I forgot about that. I think I had that actually. I had the
I probably
tape
had
one.
both at some point.
Yeah, I had the tape one for sure. And then eventually I think I just went to the CD one and like whatever. But yeah, it's I have a video on YouTube where I ask 100 strangers to listen to my music. And I'm just like walking around in Huntington Beach, just going up to strangers. And sometimes you get some like, oh yeah, I'd love to, or like, no, or wait, what are you doing? Or like just like weird stuff. And you get people with good personalities, not so great personalities, like, everything. Because sometimes people, when they see a camera, they get really like not themselves, right? Like they get really
Right.
nervous and like, so it's not like they don't have a good personality. It's just like, oh, I've never been on camera before. Like they're like, they get kind of freaked out about it. So, but that one was interesting because I had a lot of people that were like, no. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
had two biker dudes that were like, no, I don't want to. And I was like, oh. Like not even like, hey, no, I'm sorry. Like we're not, like just like a nice way to say no. They were like, no, I don't want to. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks for your time.
Yeah, I felt like I interviewed some fans at a festival I went to over the summer, and I did get a lot of no's, like, no, I don't want to, no, thank
Yeah.
you. And they're like, they're it's called camera shy,
Yeah.
I feel like people are more camera shy than anything, and that's why
Yeah.
they say no. They just don't want to
Totally.
be on camera or be on
Yeah.
social media because they know where
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
gonna end up.
Yeah, absolutely. Or like even sometimes too, like sometimes I think like with certain people, because you get kind of an energy from people sometimes, and you're like, do you got a warrant? Like, are you trying not to be on camera because you got a warrant out for your arrest and you don't want to be put on blast right now? You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I think stuff like that too, but I mean, who knows? I don't know.
Right.
Jess, since we started the podcast, would you be camera shy now?
It depends on what I'm doing. Like I don't know if I could go and like perform. I'm also really bad at making like content, like recording myself talking. I'm one of those people I need like a script.
Yeah.
And then of course I mess it up. So just it takes me like 60 times to get one good video.
Yep. I mean,
I'm getting a little better, I think. But
that's everybody. That's everybody. I can't tell you how many times I mean, like singing videos. Like I
yeah.
can't tell you how many times I'm in a parking garage and then I'm like, frick, I messed up one note, or frick, I gotta do that again, or like, you know what I mean? Sometimes it's
Yeah.
just like
It
you gotta
happens.
get it. Yeah, it happens.
But I'm getting better, I think. Because I made
Yeah,
that one
totally.
video, Chris, asking people to follow us to give us
Yeah.
get us higher following. And that one only took me like 10 times.
Yeah, see, there you go. Improvement. Micro improvements, babe. Let's go.
Yeah, and that's a lot better than the handoff one we tried to do.
Yeah, that one was
Yeah.
That one
terrible.
was tough.
I think that's like if you're a person long term, why I always look at like skateboarders. Like skateboarders have a resilience that like just most people like imagine trying a trick like hundreds of times
Hmm.
over months and months and months and you never hit it. And then finally one day you hit it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like and when you hit it, you're pissed off that you hit it because it took that long. You know what I mean? And I try to like have some kind of like resilience like that. Like, hey, like it's a numbers game. And if I do this enough times, I am gonna get it on a first take eventually. You know what I mean? Like if it takes me years or like whatever, eventually I'm gonna get it on a first take. Or eventually somebody is gonna give me a chance in this. And I just gotta keep like letting the nose just like like water off a duck's back. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And the faster that you can get over like a no, or like, I mean, not that like for me, like I'm like when I have to redo a video, it's not like it's frustrating, but like sometimes people will take that as like, ah, I just can't get it. You know what I mean? Like almost like they feel like they failed or something. And I'm like, no, it's not. You're improving yourself. Like you're literally improving yourself and getting better. And then that's part of the journey. And then eventually, like for instance, like people will ask me to sing on the street. It's like I don't even have to think twice about singing on the street now. Like I'm not the girl that was 15 years old that was nervous to sing for a choir audition anymore. Like I could sing anywhere, anytime, and just rip. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? You ask me to sing Dream On, I'll just rip it. You know what I mean? So it's like it you start when you reflect back, you see like all those little like things that were just like in your brain maybe a failure, or maybe like, man, that like, it didn't end up the way that I wanted to or whatever, but that compounds and that becomes like part of the journey to where eventually you do get to the point where you're like, dude, I could do this with my eyes closed. And how great is that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. We'll get there. Right,
Yeah.
Chris?
I believe in you. You'll get there.
We'll get there.
Yeah. You're there. You're there.
Yeah,
Actually, we're
I'm there.
manifesting. You're already there.
I'm
Your
already
future
there.
self
I'm
is
already
already there,
there.
so you're there. Yeah.
So that mini song you posted about work sucks, that was really great. Any
Thank
chance we
you.
could see a full song of that coming out?
Yeah, yep.
Look at
Yep,
that.
definitely. That one's on the docket for this year for sure in the very, very near future. Very, very near future. Yeah, it's called Fighting for My Life. And yeah, I hadn't written like the classic punk song of like, dude, 9 to 5 sucks. Like it just sucks, and we all know it. And it's like, but I hadn't written like my perspective on that in a really long time. And so anyways, yeah, when I got with these group of guys, I was like, yeah, man, like I need that for my project. Like every punk person has that song. They have like the man, like life sucks, work sucks, friends suck, like kind of thing. And currently in my life, all of those things sucked. So it was like the perfect timing for me to write it because I was like, man, like 2024, I'm so glad 2024 is over. It was like arguably like one of the worst years I've ever had, like in like a good solid like 15 years. It was like, wow, this one really sucks. And for me, like I always deal with like super traumatic things through like music and humor. Like I always have like a humorous spin on it. I try not to like get too down on it, and I try to just be like, you know what? Like it doesn't matter. Like in a year's time, this isn't gonna matter, and how do I just like already start making jokes about it? So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do the same thing. I deflect through humor all the time.
yeah,
Hey,
it's
hey,
just
Chris, that
got
was me
to.
today. That was me today. I reflected through humor with that Bucky's mug.
Yeah, there you go. And we laughed at your expense.
Yes.
No, it's like I think I think there's a reason why a lot of people who go through trauma I, I don't want to say a lot because it's not like I know the statistic or anything like that, but I tend to find like a lot of friends of mine that have gone through trauma are hilarious. They're funny. They have a sense of humor, and I think it's because like you get to a point where like you've been through so much trauma that you're like, okay, am I just gonna like always cry about it, or am I just gonna like laugh about it? You know what I mean? And it's just
Hmm.
like pick one. And some people they're like, no, I'm always gonna cry about it. You're like, all right, that's your prerogative, like whatever. But I don't have time to be like out of commission for days and days on end because I'm so upset about something. And trust, like I definitely like I'm not a person that gets upset easily, but when I do feel hurt, like actually hurt, like it takes a lot for me to feel hurt, but when I do feel hurt, I'm hurt like very, very deeply, right? Because I've pushed the other hurtful things and not like address those and like whatever. And like also sometimes in life it's like those were minor things, like we can move past that. But then eventually when I'm like really hurt, I'm like deeply, deeply hurt. And so and a lot of times I just tell myself, I'm like, I don't you don't have time to sit here and be depressed about it. Like you don't. Like maybe take one day. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do for mental health reasons and whatever. But for the most part, I'm like, I'm already like second day in, like making jokes about it. Maybe that's my dark humor. I don't know, but I'm already like, got no friends, like I'm already like making stupid little jokes about it. So I don't know. Some people like that and some people don't. So whatever.
I'm not glad you had a shitty 2024, but I'm glad I'm not the only one who had a really shitty 2024.
Dude, it was tough. It was just like, what is going on? And then like also in California, 2025 started interesting. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
2025 was like, dude, these fires are like, it's crazy and just like all this stuff with that. And so I'm lucky that I live far enough out that I have friends that are affected and my heart goes out to them and I've been trying to help them. But I live so far out that my house and my air quality wasn't like affected or anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, yeah, 2024, something was in the water for 2024. I don't know what was in it. Poison. Like
We all
just,
have our years, that's for sure.
yeah. So supposedly I'm not a big like I don't really get into like the of like all of the like numerology and horoscopes and like I've never been one to get into like really all of that. I find some of it interesting, but supposedly in numerology world, this is supposed to be my year.
Well,
It's the year of the nines. So and I'm July 9th. So I'm like, all right, we're gonna bounce back. We're gonna bounce back hard. I'm just gonna manifest that that's true, and like we're just gonna move on from that.
yeah, and you'll be turning 33, so that's like an odd number.
Yeah.
And
And
nine's an odd number.
and nine is divisible by threes.
Yeah, there you
Three
go.
times three
Look
is
at that.
nine is well, wait, right? No, three times two. Three times three is nine. Yeah. I'm like three times three is nine. Okay, right.
Yep, 369.
Yeah, yeah, okay, great. Damn you fine. I'm like, Lil Jon told us one thing, taught us one thing, and it was 369.
You definitely did. You
Yeah.
definitely did.
So I know.
So
But yeah.
actually, that's
Good
a
music is coming from that, actually. So much good music is coming from the fact that I had a horrible year.
the Lil Jon is a good segue into my next question. So my favorite of your little series or clips, if you will, is where you throw products to one another and you start
Sing a
singing
song
a
with,
song.
yeah.
Have you ever been thrown something you cannot think of, or
Oh,
have you had one thrown at you and you were like, yeah, we can't use that?
oh, let me think about that for a second. Yeah, there's definitely been some products where like eventually I get there, or like sometimes too you'll just be walking in the store and then you'll be like, "Oh, what?" Like you'll just like, "What about that?" And then somebody will just throw it at you and you better hope when you say what about that that you already have a song prepped. Like, like for instance, like one of my friends threw beef jerky at me. And I was like, oh, like I wonder what like because beef jerky is such like a random product. I was like, what could you do with beef jerky? And I was like joking with her about it, and then she just threw it at me, and I was like, oh, so the only thing I could think of was you a jerk, you a jerk, you a jerk. Like that's all I could think of. But yeah, I'm trying to think of which ones I've been thrown that I was like. One time I threw a spider at a friend and she was like so like it took her like a good solid 30 seconds to like think of something. I think we edited it to where it was like boom, like she got it, but it took her like a solid 30 seconds. And then she ended up singing like Monster, like I'm friends with the monster that's under my bed, right? That song. And then I was like, I thought you were gonna sing Black Widow. Like a black widow, baby. She's like, dang it, that's what I should have sang. Like, so sometimes we think of like stuff after the fact and things like that. Um,
It's kind of like musical improv.
it is. It is. And like you gotta like sometimes you have like a like you go into because like again, when you start playing this game, you start like almost practicing in your everyday world, right? So you start getting really good about uh like products that you see and
Hmm.
like, like even in my brain right now, it's like mirror. It's like in my mirror. Oh, like you just start like picking up on that so quick that you almost even when you go into the grocery store you kind of almost feel prepped because you've been doing it so much, right? Like you just like I'll be walking in the grocery store now and I'll just be like I'll just see something and just be like hamburger helper. I'm like I had some help, it ain't like I can make it, like I can just like start singing like random songs. So yeah, you come in like almost in your brain like you've got like some practice and some stuff, but I'm trying to think if there's something that I was like, I've definitely was one time thrown like a pot or a pan, like a saute pan. I didn't know what to do with that. I was like, I don't even know what to do with this.
Dang, they
And then I
threw
think I
that
thought,
at you?
oh yeah, like and we're like chucking it, by the way. Like we will throw stuff like one time oh my God. One time I was with Liv Swearingen and I just full on like football like Brett Favre just boom threw like tomatoes at her. And then the tomatoes like broke. Like they like
Oops.
exploded. And it like full on like hit her in the stomach too, like whatever. Like we like we'll just like because that's the kind of the fun of it too, is like catching somebody off guard and be like, here's lettuce, you know, and you just like chuck some, like lettuce at somebody and hope they catch it. But that time we had to buy the tomatoes. They were pretty busted and we felt bad. So we were like, we're gonna buy the tomatoes. But yeah, I think so like yeah, I think it was Elena. Elena threw like a pan, like a saute pan at like my head. And good thing is I have good hand-eye coordination, so I caught it really quick. But yeah, I think with that one I was like, I don't know. I think eventually I think I told her I was like, throw this at me again because I thought of something, but it was like 2 minutes after the fact. And I was like, throw this at me again. And so she throws it at me and I was like, everybody's trying to steal my girl. Everybody wants it because it was like steel. It was stainless steel. So I was like, oh, okay, you know, clever.
My head went to something with saucy in it.
Oh, I'm saucy. I'm the first one to think on the track. You can do that. I'm telling you, it just comes to you.
You're just a good improver.
I know. I hope one day I actually get like really good at improving. Like I'd like to be good at improving as in like an acting comedic sense. I think that would be fun. But it's also so nerve-wracking to think about showing up to an improv lesson. That thought like that goes back to like me like being my first day in choir. Like it like I'm so nervous. Like you know what I mean? Like to be to fail in front of people that and I fail in front of people all the time and I feel like I'm pretty good at that, but like that's a level of failing in front of people that is just like uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable because you say something and you're like, that's not funny. And you're like, frick. You
That
know?
can even go all the way back to the fact, like the thing you said about skateboarders. Like if they go to a skate park, they got to fail in front of people over and over again.
Yep. Yeah, and like I don't know why. I don't know if it like my background in my brain is like with sports it's like different, right? Like cuz I could be like go play basketball or whatever and like for instance, like I just started doing pickup games again because I really missed playing basketball and the only people at my church that play basketball are like all dudes, right? There's no girls on the court. So it's like me with all the guys from my church. And I hadn't touched a ball in like really played a game in like 5 years. Dude, the first like 3 games I played, horrible. Like I was embarrassed. Like I was just embarrassed. I mean, I got some shots off and stuff like that and some good passes in, but I was like, I'm embarrassed for myself right now. But like for some reason, like I don't know if it's because I've played basketball most of my life that I can kind of like my brain just like naturally is like used to that and accepts it because then afterwards I started getting back into the rhythm of what I was doing and then I was knocking down threes and like, you know, whatever. So I don't know. It's like, do I think of it in that way? Almost like sport related because sports you're always failing in front of people and it's just like a natural thing, but maybe I should think of it that way. Maybe I should think of improv like more as a sport and then maybe I'm more okay with failing in front of people. It's way easier to fail in front of a bunch of people too than a small group. Like when
True.
you're in those improv classes, there's like only like 10 to 15, maybe 20 people. And failing in front of a small group, like I would much rather sing in front of thousands than one.
Yeah.
Like it's so hard to sing in front of one.
I mean, you
It,
did do choir. There couldn't have been that many choir kids in your
I mean,
class.
we probably had like 20 to 30,
Well, I guess that's more than an improv
you
class
know?
then.
Yeah, but I know what you're saying though. Like, yeah, like totally. Like, but imagine that's how nervous I was in choir
Right.
because I was like, ooh, you know, like whatever. So yeah, I mean, maybe you guys are switching my mindset
Yep, there you
right
go.
here on this
I
Zoom.
think
Yeah,
you could
like
do it. You could totally do it.
I know, I need to do it. I really want to. I really want to. I think I could be good at it. I think I could.
Maybe
We could
you
put
and
it.
your friend can go to do it together.
Yeah. Or does that make it worse that not that you're somebody knows you so well that they're also there?
I don't
Like,
know. I
it's a
don't
bunch
know.
of
I guess you
strangers.
can
You're like,
decide. Do it alone
yeah.
or take a friend.
I can go home and nobody knows what I just did.
You only live once, remember. You only live once.
True. YOLO, baby. We're bringing YOLO back.
And then with the recent canceling, or I should say not canceling, banning and unbanning, I guess, of TikTok, you posted a video about like millennials have lived through the end of MySpace and Vine, Tumblr, LimeWire, so many more. I'd love to,
AOL too.
yeah, I was gonna say, let me throw in MSN Messenger, AIM, ICQ, IRC chats.
Yes.
Let's say everything we have right now goes away. What
Yeah.
three old platforms would you bring back?
Oh, I would probably bring back MySpace. I did enjoy MySpace, even though I was young when I was on MySpace and I wasn't allowed to have it.
Mm.
I created one anyways, and then I got grounded for having it. I probably bring back MySpace. Man, what are the other two? Okay, this sounds horrible because I'm a musician, but I'd probably bring back LimeWire. I'd probably bring back LimeWire because I mean, I hope the government's not listening, but I was pirating some stuff. It's
Oh,
probably
we
past
all
the,
did. We all
yeah,
did.
it's probably past the statute of limitation, so I think I'm good because it was like way back then, but probably LimeWire. And what's the last one? Does it have to be like social like media or can it be like just anything that you want to bring back?
Just anything.
I really miss that I miss Yahoo Games. Did you ever play Yahoo Games?
Yeah, you could play
They
with
had
friends.
Yeah, like you could play like they have like a typing game like called like Shark Attack or something. I used to play that all the time, which is probably why I'm a really great, excellent typer. And then they used to have a game called Collapse, which was kind of like the modern day version of what's that game where you like move the blocks and then they disappear every time you connect them into like three or above. You know what I'm talking about? And then like the bubbles. It's kind of like Candy
Like Candy
Crush.
Crush, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's like Candy Crush, yeah. But it was a game called Collapse, and you would get like little sometimes you would be playing it and then you'd be like, "Oh my God, I'm getting to the top, like I'm about to like, die, collapse or die or whatever." And then they would give you like little like bombs that you could blow up all the blocks, but you got to time those, right? Because you don't like you want to do it during a time where you're about to get close to the top. You don't want to just like hit it. You know what I mean? Because you don't know when the next time you're going to get one. Anyways, I really
Yeah.
loved that game too.
You should look it up. I bet there's a app on the on your
Oh, I
phone or
bet there
something
is.
that brought it
Yeah.
back. Because people brought back Snake.
That's true. Yeah, I miss Minecraft and the
Oh yeah, that Minecraft.
what was it? The Galaxy Pinball? Do you remember
Yeah. Oh
Galaxy?
yeah,
I
yeah.
can't remember if that's what it was called, but I was killing it on that thing because again, like my mom like worked a full-time job and then a lot of times she would work like a night kind of gig, like either at the church or like whatever. So I would just be stuck, like just what was I supposed to do? And like we're talking about a time where there was like not phones, not it's not like I could have brought my
Yeah.
PlayStation there. You know what I mean? Like so I would just be playing those games. I got really good. I got good at Minecraft too. Like people didn't understand Minecraft and I figured it out. I finally figured out how to properly
I
play it.
eventually figured it out, but it was still fun to change the amount of mines and then just
Yeah.
like click once. Oh, I finished. I won.
Yeah, yeah, totally. There's only one mine. That's
I don't
awesome.
know how I won.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, but
It,
I'd probably bring those back. I really liked the games from that era. Even like games like Kim Possible. Like remember like on Disney Channel, like .com, like they had games that you could play. I miss those games.
Yeah. That was all the Windows games though.
Yep.
Minesweeper and that
Mhm.
pinball one and everything.
Yeah,
Those are
totally. I don't
Windows
even think they
games.
still put it on the computer anymore, like on PCs. Like I don't even think they still put it on there, do they?
I
I
don't
don't
think
know.
so.
I have
That's
my
sad.
my Windows computer right in front of me. I could
Yeah,
look and let you know.
that's sad. Hurts my spirit.
So you said that one game made you a really good typer. I'm curious now, what's your words per minute?
I don't know. I've never tested it. I've never tested it. I know it's got to be above 75. It's got to
There's
be above 75.
there's a website, I think it's like typingtest.com or something,
Okay.
and you
Oh,
can
maybe
do
I
it.
could
I'm gonna
take
do
it.
it. I'm gonna do it and then see. And like now I feel like I gotta like work out the cobwebs though, because now I'm like, I haven't been most I type is like in a songwriting document, like in Google Docs. But no, I'm like when I'm focused on typing, like
Don't
I'm pretty
ask me to type.
No.
oh, you're a two-finger puncher.
I am a
Oh God.
Yeah,
I
my
Lord.
was
mom was
never
like,
good at that.
you type really fast, and she had me do it. And on a normal laptop keyboard, I'm around 72.
Let's
I just
go.
got this mechanical keyboard, and it's got circular keys. I
Oh.
miss them all the time, and
Oh
I
yeah.
I dropped to like 64,
Yeah.
so I got to get used to it. But
Well,
yeah,
Yeah, totally.
maybe I'll take this test, Chris, and see how fast I am
Oh
at
God.
yeah,
It's
my
I'm
gonna be
chicken
like
curious.
pecking.
20. It's gonna be
Because
20.
I don't know, man, I'm pretty fast.
You're right. They're like, this person's a woodpecker.
I was pretty good at typing with my two fingers.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, that's my boyfriend. He's so bad. I was like, you need to get on Mavis Beacon. Like, bring
I
back
just
Mavis.
remember in school, it's like, put your fingers on the home row and all that. And I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
I just, no, I struggled. I don't know
Yeah.
how I got through that typing class in like middle school.
Oh man, I feel for you. That's tough. Yeah, we took at my school, we took like typing in like third or fourth grade or something. So I feel like we started out so young that it was like, cool, we're like ingrained on
Yeah.
being on the home row, but like, I mean, not to toot my own horn, but in third grade, I had beaten the whole level of Mavis Beacon. And then she had to go back and change my whole thing to be like high school level or something like that. And I was in like third or fourth grade. So I'm like really competitive. So I'm like, oh, what? Like I could be the best at something. Okay, I'm gonna do it. Like
Right?
yeah. So that's my vibe. But I need to. What was the site again? I need to do that.
I think it's just typing test, and let me
Okay.
find it.
Yeah, I got to do that because now I'm curious.
Yeah, maybe I'll do it, Chris. I'm gonna do it and find out how slow or fast I am at
Yeah.
my
I'm
finger
gonna
pecking.
email you guys in like 2 days and be like, hey, this is what my words per minute were. Watch it be like 50. And I just think I'm like so fast.
Yeah, it's just typingtest.com.
All right, cool.
We're all gonna do it. Chris already has done it though.
I know. Well,
Yeah,
he wants a rematch.
they've got like a program where like if you do your goal is 15 minutes a day to improve, and mine's just gone down with this keyboard. Like the first day was like 68, and I think the last time I did it on Friday I was at like 64 or 63. I'm like, I'm getting
Lord.
worse.
Yeah.
Every day you get older, Chris, you're getting worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah, it's that
Must
arthritis in
be.
carpal
my
tunnel.
fingers.
That carpal tunnel's coming back to haunt you. Yeah, it's uh Apple went through this thing where they switched the keyboard. So they switched the keyboard to like it was like lower down, like way
Hmm.
lower, like more flush with the computer itself. So dude, for like a solid, I mean honestly, even still to this day when I type on, they had so many problems with that keyboard because it was so low that keys ended up sticking. So you would end up double clicking all the time, and it pissed me off. I was like, I'm not this bad of a typer. Like I'm a great typer. There's no reason why I'm messing up this much other than this stupid keyboard. And then like a few years ago they switched back to like more of like a hybrid model of like the one from like 2012 to the new one. And then that one's been so great. But I'll tell you this, when I went to this one, I was like McSpeedy. Like I was like, because now that the keys are so light. So you're like I would end up like typing faster than like not typing faster than what I was thinking, but like like when you're typing you're like thinking of the word and like you're typing it all out or whatever. But I would already be my brain wasn't like caught up to the speed of how fast I could type on that because it was so like smooth and there wasn't like pressure. So you could just like really whiz through it. So anyways, I feel like I'm like really hyping up my typing skills and like fun fact about Geena, she can type, but then watch me take this test and it'll just be horrible.
We're
If
gonna
I take
find
this
out.
test and I'm not like at least 75 or above, I'm not telling anybody. I'm gonna take that to the grave.
Except us. You gotta tell
Yeah,
us.
I know, right,
We gotta
right.
know.
I'll tell you if we get John Feldman, and then we'll then I'll be like, all right, I gotta tell him. Yeah,
That'll be
Speak.
one of the hooks we get John Feldman with.
yeah.
Like
How's your
Yes.
she's
typing?
really great at typing.
Yeah, she's a excellent typer.
Excellent typer. So I gotta know. I don't think anything's been announced, but can fans expect to see you on tour this year?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. It's been low key really hard to find like a booking agency, which then makes me want to be like, dang, do I just go back to my roots and book it all myself? Because I'm
Right.
tired of like trying to like get a hold of somebody and that's like the one thing that's been tough on my end is like I'm completely independent. Like really like no management, like even like when you guys were emailing back and forth, like that's like a guy that's like been with me for forever, and he kind of like just answers my emails and does my day to day. He's been with me a super long time. Shout out Alex. Um, but like he has a normal job,
Right.
so like he's not really like my manager. Like, and then I also have like no publishing, no label. So I'm really like a one woman show.
I
Uh,
mean, you're doing a great job for being a one woman show.
Thank you. Thank you. But if I want to like do more things, I need more people on the team, and that's been actually my goal of like last year and this year is find like these really crucial people that can be on my team that okay, cool. I don't need to book my own tour. Like I have somebody that's like a booking agent, you know what I mean? And I've got that locked and loaded. So anyways, I'm actively pursuing that. I'm also I created like a Google response sheet so that everybody can tell me like where they like what's the closest major city to them so that I can take that data and be like, "Hey, to a booking agency, I've got 2,000 people in this city. Like, why aren't we doing a show here? I've got 500 people in this city, right?" And just show them hard data, like, because it is a business at the end of the day, right? There's so many social media people that have big followings, but they can't sell a show out. Like they just can't. So anyway, so anybody who's like watching the podcast right now, go to the link in my bio, go fill out the Google response sheet because that's going to be super helpful when I get into these meetings and be like, look, I've got, X amount of people that have already filled all this out. So
I'll make sure to go fill it out.
that'd be
But you
great.
got to make sure you put in Cincinnati, Jess.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
We have to add her to our Cincinnati bill, okay?
Yeah. There you go.
She has no idea what we're talking about.
No,
She's
no,
I
no.
know,
down with
but
it.
I'm down for Cincinnati.
So, since we've never met each other, there's an ongoing joke that we're going to put together like a JAMXP show, and
Cool.
halfway between the two of us is Cincinnati. And we're like, we're going to do it in Cincinnati.
Right, that's it. Yeah, we'll meet there. Yeah, and I'll fly in. I'll see you guys there. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, we already have a whole bunch of other bands and stuff on board.
There you go. Yeah, use those connections.
They're like, we'll play.
We'll
Whether or
play if
not
John
it'll
Feldman shows up.
maybe John Feldman will come play with Goldfinger.
Right. I hope he sees this. It'd be so funny if he saw this and you're like, wow, these people are just really committed to talking about
We're
me.
going to have to tag the crap out of him.
I could make
Totally.
sure he maybe sees it and make a teaser video and like
Yeah.
tag him and
Flip it.
you never
Flip
know.
it.
You never know. I don't know. My clips aren't that great because I'm very limited in what I have. I
Yeah.
use Clipchamp on the laptop and
Oh,
that's
cool.
it. Yeah.
Dude, like, or just like use freaking CapCut. CapCut's like crazy now. Well, I guess supposedly CapCut's not available in the
Mhm.
US anymore because it got banned with TikTok. And then when they reinstated TikTok, they didn't reinstate CapCut. But just run a VPN and you're good. Like I ran my VPN and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm in Costa Rica, and then it worked.
The problem with CapCut is you can only do so many videos for free.
Oh yeah, you do have to pay for like
And
a
I'm
pro.
like, I don't want to have to pay for it.
True. I know
I
that.
already pay for Zoom and I paid for Canva because I use
Oh
that for
yeah.
a lot of my like when I
Yep.
create thumbnails and all sorts of other little
Yeah.
things for the
How much is a
podcast.
Zoom Pro? How
The
much is it
Zoom
for?
is like $15 a month.
Okay, cool. Okay. So and then Canva's like 10.99 or
It's
9.99.
something like that too. It's
Like 10
similar.
bucks.
So it's not terrible, but then I'm like Canva and
And
I don't know if I
that,
want to
then
add CapCut. I'm
CapCut.
like,
Yeah.
oh, it starts adding up a little and I'm
And
like,
I
then
know. I did. I feel you.
and then I cover our Microsoft subscription and our Google Drive
Oh,
subscription.
oh Lord. Oh my gosh. I know the subscriptions are getting really out of hand now. Like I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, if I have one more app that asks me to do a subscription, let me buy the app. Let me
yeah,
buy the app. But they don't want to do that because they know they make
no,
more money long term. And I'm just like, I think people are going to get sick of it. Like, I don't need to pay for a
yeah.
subscription for everything. Like,
Well,
F,
that's like Adobe when they did
yeah.
all their Photoshop and all the other
Yep.
editing tools. Now you have to buy them all separate.
Yeah. It's so stupid. It's so
You used to
dumb.
be able to
You're
buy a
correct.
CD and load it to your
Oh, yeah.
computer, but you can't do that anymore.
That's what I had to do with Logic Pro. When I first got Logic Pro X, I had to load it as like a literal CD into my computer, and it came with like 6 or 7 like different DVDs for like all the or CDs or whatever it was. And like I had to like upload it all into my computer to be able to have Logic Pro. It was
Right.
wild. Yeah, what
Adobe
time?
is vicious. We were shopping at my work for like a learning management system, And they were like, okay, but if you want to do this feature, you have to buy this additional program. And then to get all the benefits of that program, you also need this program. And then
Mm-hmm.
they're like, and then for an additional cost, we can give you like the pro version of this. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna stop you right there. We can't afford like $100,000 a
I love that you
month.
said that. I'm gonna stop you right there.
Yeah, no. And I
Right.
I was like, no, we're not doing
Yeah,
this.
it's just gotten way out of hand. Way out of hand and like uh I don't know. My hope is always that like it will correct itself, right? Like the pendulum always swings and it's swinging one way and then, then you're like, "Oh great, we're going to hopefully land somewhere in the middle where it's beneficial for everybody and it's not just like, like the corrupt side of capitalism. I think capitalism is great to function and foster creative ideas, but if it gets too far on the other side of the spectrum, it gets really corrupt, and then citizens, freaking suffer from that. And I think that that's really stupid. I think there should be rules against that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
So screw the subscriptions. We're on a subscription hiatus. I already got Netflix, Hulu, Disney.
I know, right? We got all
It's
these
just like
subscriptions.
I'm
And
paying
now
$300 a month in subscriptions.
and now car manufacturers are like $7 a month for heated seats.
What? Are you serious?
I think it's BMW that's doing it.
Lord, that is wild. That's
Uh,
wild. What are they going to charge next for? AC? Like,
Probably. Probably.
I'm like, you can eat my big toe. Like I'm not paying for that. I honestly well, I don't know. I might never get a BMW sponsorship if I say this, but like honestly, I drove valet for like years, right? Like that was like my part-time job when I was really trying to get off the ground as a musician because it was flexible. I could go out of town and then come back and my job would still be there and like whatever. Uh some of the worst cars I drove were Mercedes and BMWs. Worst. Like and Nissans. They were horrible. Horrible. Like not a smooth ride. Like just always they were always in the shop. They always had check engine lights on. Like it was just the worst. The worst. So screw BMW. Make a better product.
It is BMW, and it's not $7, it's 18.
Wow.
Lord.
Toyota is charging $8 a month for a remote start.
What? How can they
Cadillac
charge for that?
Cadillac
Isn't it
is
already on
charging
the car?
yeah,
Yeah.
Cadillac is charging 25 a month for cruise hands-free cruise.
Oy
Wow.
vey.
Yeah.
They are doing that with the hands-free, like, I think Tesla did that. I think Tesla kind of which, come on, Tesla, why'd you start that for us? But um, I think they started it with, people didn't want to. I think they still have the option though. You can buy it, but I think they have like a subscription model if you just want to like, oh, I want to test it out for a few months and I like it or don't like it or whatever. So.
Yeah,
That's ridiculous though. That
that
is so
is.
stupid. That's so paying for I'm paying especially now with inflation, cars are like 80 grand if you want to buy a new car and you're not giving me a push start and you're not giving me heated seats. You can suck it. I will buy a different car and put the heated seats in myself. Like
Right?
I've never done any mechanical anything, but I'll figure it out before I pay that. It's
Or find
principle at
someone
that
else to
point.
put it in for you for cheaper.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like wow, that is just wild to me. But anyways, all that to be said, on back on tour though, my goal is to go on freaking tour. And that's where like honestly my 10,000 hours are anyways. My 10,000 hours is not in social media. It's not in I mean maybe at this point I'm probably in 10,000 hours on songwriting and stuff like that, but like for sure it's in performing. Like that's
Hmm.
where all of my background is. That's where I've spent most of my time. And so to me, even when I write a song, I write it from the perspective of stage. Like I write it from the perspective of live. Like, oh, like, okay, this is cool because I know like this will connect with like this person here, or like I can do this like with my body language, or like, whatever. Like I automatically think from the perspective of like a visual perspective from stage. So I if you guys know any great booking agencies, let me know. Because your girl needs, I don't think I can book my own tour right now. I don't think I could do it without how much stuff I'm running myself.
Yeah. Speaking of tours, Now, this is your tour.
Yeah.
What would a dream tour of yours be? Like, who would you want to tour with as a
Ooh.
dream? Like,
Like I'm opening for them?
or you could be headlining and they could be opening for you.
Oh my God.
Either or, whichever
That
you
would be
prefer.
wild. If I had a dream about this the other day. I had a dream like a week or so ago that I was on a headline run for myself and like Paramore opened up for me and I just about had a heart attack. I almost crapped, threw up and died when I woke up because I was like, is that real? Like, is that real? That would be insane. If I did anything with Haley Williams, I again, I would probably crap, throw up and die. Like I would just be like,
But if
I'm
you
good.
died, then you couldn't do anything with her.
I know, but maybe my music would live on. Yeah. I couldn't be a part of the 27 group, but let me start a new group, the 32s or something. But no, yeah, that would be crazy. That would be really awesome. Another one that would be really awesome would be Alanis Morissette for sure. Uh, okay, this one's like kind of like some of these are like weird ones too, because even though I was so obsessed with just like alternative artists and things like that growing up, like I definitely like loved pop music too. And so I mean it would be even cool to open up for like somebody like Pink or somebody like Kelly Clarkson or Katy Perry, like in the pop world of things. I mean, they have a lot of alternative artists open for them. I think Pink had Gail open up
Hmm.
for her, and I think Katy Perry might have as well. So yeah, and like honestly, Kelly Clarkson early days, she was kind of alternative. Like she was kind of alt. Like Since You've Been Gone is like so guitar heavy. Like it's in there. Like we can feel it.
Right.
So yeah, that would be really cool. But again, if I did anything with Paramore or Haley Williams, I would again, I would probably die and go to heaven. I would love it. Her performing too is just like so cream of the crop to me. Like her performing really influenced how I viewed like the stage and how I viewed like body language on stage too. Like she always just had this like essence, and you like I found out like later that like she had like a dancing background, and so that's why she was always so like really fluid like with her body and things like that, because she just knew her body language, right? But it was just always really inspirational to me, to even now to this day, like I watch videos of her and be like, oh, that's cool that she did this or that she did that or whatever. I kind of bumped into her at a coffee shop in Nashville, and again, I almost crapped, threw up, and died. She had, or I was sitting at a coffee table, and she was like, there's like a little cutout in the wall where you can kind of like see through, almost like a window, and she was standing right there, and I was like, and it's funny because all at the time I could see was the back of her head, and I was like, that's Haley Williams. Like I like instantly, that's how much I love Haley Williams. Is like all I needed to see was the back of your bleach blonde emo head, and I knew that it was you. And then I was like, oh my God, like maybe I'll just like buy her a coffee and just be like, hey, I just want to say thank you or whatever. Not that she needs me to buy her coffee, but it would be more of a me thing than a her thing, right? Like she doesn't need me to buy her coffee. But then she was there with her, I think it was her grandma, because her grandma was wearing a Paramore hoodie. And I was like, eat your heart out. That is so cute. Like my grandma would wear like my own merch and be so adorable. But anyways, I was like, I don't want to impose. Like she's, with a family member or whatever. But I was literally, I could have just reached out my hand and grabbed her ponytail.
At least you didn't go crazy and do that.
Yeah, no. I end up like I might would get like a little like excited if I met Haley Williams, because that would definitely be like, oh wow. You know what I mean? But it's weird because I a lot of times these are people that I want to work with, right? Like these are
Hmm.
people that um I want to one day like write with Haley, and I want to one day like collab with her in some way, shape, or form, right? So I end up in a lot of those situations, like probably end up like a little too chill, to where they're like, is this person even a fan of mine? Because they act like they're so nonchalant about it, that so I get like really the opposite, because I'm like, oh, I don't want them to feel like fan energy, because that'll like turn them off to like working together, you know? So
I totally get that. Totally
yeah.
get that.
So curious as a fellow elder emo. What were some of your favorite bands from like the early 2000s, mid 2000 era?
Oh, I was a really big Boys Like Girls fan. I really like Boys Like Girls. I was really into the main. Um, really liked All Time Low. Paramore was probably the cream of the crop for me though. Like I just like All We Know, like all those every album that Paramore came out with, I was just like consuming on a mass scale. I remember just being in my room and just being like, how do I sing those notes? You know, like that was definitely that. And then my dad listened to a lot of classic rock, so then I ironically listened to like a lot of stuff from like the 70s. So that like inspired like a lot of things for me too. And then 90s wise, it was probably like Alanis Morissette, a little bit of Nirvana. Um, I even listened to a lot of oh shoot, why am I blanking right now? Like Dave Grohl and like all that stuff. Like I listened to a lot of that as well. So Evanescence too. I was a big Evanescence fan and Linkin Park fan.
You know what hit me really recently? I was listening to Everclear. Um,
Yeah.
I'm listening to the lyrics and I'm like, this is so freaking emo.
Yeah, totally. I always forget about Everclear. I always forget about them, and then somehow on my feed, like it knows that I'm just like want to see like all emo stuff, and so that'll come across my feed every once in a while. I'm like, oh dang, I forgot about this song. There's also like probably my. Do you remember like when you got an iPod and it would tell you how many plays you played that song, right? And you would be like, oh dang, my number one song that I've played on my iPod is this song. My number one song was actually My Own Worst Enemy by Lit. So, and I've always, every time I get into a session, I'm like, how can we write this song? Like, how can we write a song like this, you know?
Yeah. It's a good
So,
song. It's a good
yeah.
song.
I like it's been fun to like take spin, you're like a reverse spin on a lot of like throwback songs, like Stacy's Mom, like Dylan's dad, Stacy's Mom, like it's like a spin off of that, right? I did recently, and I think this song will come out too. I did a spin of like Scotty Doesn't Know, and I did my own spin on it. And it's yeah, so I'm like excited because I'm like I wonder if people like millennials will pick up on it, right? But like Gen Z might not, and they just might like the song, you know?
Right.
So, but it's really fun to do that, and just like I don't know, there's like a part of me that's like nostalgic, and it brings back that aspect that I loved. Like I was like, oh, I really loved that song. Okay, this is my own spin on it, which is cool, you know?
Yeah,
So,
totally.
So now, kind of not about music at this point. How often do you have to dye your hair?
oh God. I set up my appointments. It's probably once every 2 to 3 months. It depends on what my traveling schedule is. So sometimes I have to go 3 months because, you know, oh, I can't get into the salon fast enough. But it's probably somewhere in between that. And it's like a full day thing because a lot of times I do a full YouTube video with it, called Hair Time. And I always let my fans vote on what color I'm doing. So usually whatever they vote is what goes. Like they voted for green. They wanted me to do green. They had been asking me to do lime green for like a super long time. And actually, I just realized the other day that this glows in the dark, which is really cool. I was like randomly at this studio, and I guess their hallway was like a black light. And like next thing you know, they're like, all of them are looking at me like, your hair glows in the dark. And I'm like, what? Like I didn't even know. Yeah, they definitely like picked the green, and it's been one of my favorite colors. I actually might do it again because I've loved it so much. It's been such a vibe. It's kind of like when I did pink. Like it ended up being such a vibe that I was like, I got to do pink again. Like it was so cool. And also I was promoting Y2K, and everything on Y2K was pink. So it was cool to just like keep with that, you know, for a few months. But yeah, it's a full day thing. It takes like 3 or 4 hours because I have to. This is my natural hair. The brown is my
Hmm.
dark brown is my natural hair. So you have to bleach that, and it takes like an hour and a half.
My roots are
Yeah,
kind
dude,
of
you get
growing
it.
out.
Yeah, you
This is
totally
the
get
first
it.
time I've gone this light before, and I did
Yeah.
Interesting.
something different. And I haven't had bangs since middle school.
I've
My
thought
look,
about bringing back bangs. I've thought everybody's doing bangs right now, and I've thought about doing bangs again.
look, you can see mine now. Now that my lighting isn't
Yeah.
shit. So I have green under here, and this was
Cool.
just a couple. gosh, I don't even know, Sunday that I did it.
Okay.
Um, but like my hair has this problem where it rejects bleach. Like
Really?
it won't lighten unless it's left in there to the points to where my hair is just
Falling
going to
out.
fall out.
Yeah, yeah. Have
And
you gone to
then
like a salon and tried it?
yeah.
Okay, cool. Because like for me, like if I even tried to do bleach it myself, I would be bald. Like straight up.
Probably. Me
Like I
too.
would look like that. I would look like Cynthia's doll in Rugrats. Like straight up. Like I would be like, you know how she had all those bald spots? That would be me.
Hmm.
Like I just every time somebody always asks me if I do my own hair, and I'm like, absolutely the frick not. Like I would literally be bald. Literally be bald.
But yeah, and then it takes forever to take the color. So like it'll reject color, and then as soon as I do anything to it, the color just comes out so quickly. So
Really?
yeah, even
That
so
sucks.
I got this is the first time around I got leave-in conditioner. And
Okay.
I kid you not, I put the leave-in conditioner on and I'm combing it through and like all the dye is just
Oh no.
coming onto the comb and I'm like, okay, so
No.
any tips for keeping my color?
You know what? I'll have to ask my hairdresser because I have no idea. I ask her stuff all the time. I'll be like, "What if I did this?" She's like, "Absolutely not. Do not do that." So maybe I'll ask her. I've been with her for 15 years. She's been doing my hair like this for 15 years. And I basically just show up and let her do whatever she wants to do. So I don't really ask any questions. I'm like, I hope whatever she's doing is right. You know what I mean? So, but I'll ask her because maybe she'll know. Maybe there's some like kind of primer for you to put on your roots or something on your hair before you put bleach on it or before you put color on it, and maybe that'll help. Yeah, because your hair is kind of dark too, so you definitely, if you
Yeah.
want the color to pop, you have to bleach it. Like you just have to. Lucky enough though, you're a dude, so if your hair was falling out, you just shave your head and like it'll grow back.
I can't I got this like dinosaur ridge kind of thing going on top of my head.
Yeah.
Like if I
Okay.
shaved my head, it would look funny. Can't do it.
I would really look weird if I shaved my head since I have a scar that goes from ear to ear.
What?
Yeah.
What is a scar that goes from ear to ear?
'Cause when I was like about 1 years old, I fell down the stairs in my walker. And so they had to like cut my head open to fix my head. So they cut my head open from ear to ear. Yeah.
Whoa.
I had like 60 staples in my head.
Like, did they have to do like brain surgery or something or what?
No, it was because I had this huge dent in my forehead.
Oh,
And since I was like about 1-ish years old, they had to like go and fix that. Because my
yeah.
mom, they were gonna leave it and said I'd grow out of it, and my mom was like, "No."
No. Yeah. She can grow hair to cover the scars. We don't know if she'll be able to grow out of that. Yeah.
Right? She didn't want to risk it, and
Dang, that's
she saved my life
crazy.
actually because they found like fluid on my brain that they would have missed. So she
Whoa.
was worried
Shout
about my
out.
vanity, and it saved my life.
Yeah. Dude, that's a crazy story. That's wild. Like, I've never had anything like that. I've never had a major injury like that, like ever in my life. I've definitely
Yeah.
like ripped some ligaments and stuff like that in basketball, and I don't know, I think I might have torn my ACL skateboarding one time, but I've never gone to the doctor for it. I've never like broken really any bones, only like fractured some, but that's crazy ear to ear. That's
Yeah,
wild. That's wild.
it's definitely wild. You know what else is wild?
Oh God, what?
Our very last question. And Chris is cracking up right now.
I
Oh,
love your segue. I love your segue.
yeah, oh man, this has been so fun.
Our very last question. It's a very important question.
Oh gosh.
What is your favorite dinosaur?
My favorite dinosaur. Oh,
This gets people sometimes, and sometimes people know right away.
yeah. I would probably say, I feel like this is like you guys are showing like, like if you say this, you're probably like this personality wise, you know what I mean? My go-to was a pterodactyl. I've always been interested in being able to fly.
Yeah.
Like I think that that's really cool. Second, and maybe this shows my personality. I hope it doesn't, but I would probably say T-Rex. I know that's so basic, but they're crazy. They're
I mean,
wild. Like they're a force to be reckoned with.
you are a force to be reckoned with, that's for sure.
See, maybe I mean my favorite animal is a cheetah. So
That's my
kind of
favorite big cat.
see?
I do love cheetahs. I've always loved cheetahs. Do you
I think
remember
they're
the
so
movie like Cheetah?
Oh yeah, totally.
I'm like, I have that on VHS tape somewhere.
I know. I was about to say, I think I have that on VHS too. I
It
have a
was such a
box in my
great, it's
garage
such a
of
great
just
movie.
VHS tapes. It's probably, I mean, my initial thing was a pterodactyl because I think flying is just so cool. Like, so cool. Uh, I wouldn't want to be any of like the, like a stegosaurus or anything like that because I feel like they just get their crap rocked all the time. You
Yeah.
know, they're just plant eaters. They're just like, I mean, that might be chill. Like, I think people, if you're a chill person, you're like, oh yeah, like that's my vibe. But I think me, I'm like, I'm on the hunt.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to get stuff done.
Yeah. Mine's a Brachiosaurus.
Oh, okay. Do they have sultry voices too? Because maybe that just goes.
I don't know. I don't know. How would we know? We don't actually know what they
I
sound
don't
like.
know. We
They weren't
don't.
alive. You can
We
find
didn't have any.
fossils and stuff, but you can't find
Yeah,
like,
they didn't have Logic Pro X
audio.
to record. What
Uh,
about you, Chris? What's your dinosaur?
I like the ankylosaur, so that armored dinosaur.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good
with the
one too.
club tail.
club tail.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I think also too that in Palm Springs, when you drive out to Palm Springs, there's like two dinosaurs, and you can go up in them, and they have like a store in them, and one of them is like, I think one of them's a T-Rex, and one of them's like a one of the plant eater dinosaurs. Anyways, so there's probably a little bit of my psyche that's in that because I always had good memories with that. It's like a notable thing in Palm Springs, but anyways, and I always knew I was going on vacation because we would vacation in Palm Springs. So maybe there's like a whole thing tied to that in my
Yeah.
subconscious that I don't
I
even know
mean,
about.
we remember things differently. Like, I feel like I can't remember a ton of things before the age of 5. Like, I
Mm,
remember some things from when I was only like one thing when I was 5, and that
yeah.
was when my dad brought my dog home in his jacket and his little head popped out.
Oh, that's
I
a
remember
great
that, but
example.
I'm like, I don't remember anything else from like anything else from that
Yeah.
age.
See, I
Yeah.
remember
Core memories.
I was like
Yeah.
4 and I had a bad dream about like a witch in my room, and I
Ooh.
woke my parents up and I'm like, bad dream, and they're like, go back to bed.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Actually, you're not scared. Go to bed. Yeah, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like I think that there's like pockets of like time, like childhood memories that I remember. Like my cousins, whenever we talk about like when we grew up and stuff, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, like remember this?" And they'll be like, "No." Like they literally they'd say like I have a good memory and I don't feel like I have that great of a memory, but they're like, "Dude, I don't remember any of that." Like you remember like some crazy stuff. So, I don't know. I feel like that way though too. Like when I was younger, like maybe even like 3 or so, like there's not a lot of things that I remember. Like it's like pockets of like, "Oh, I
Hmm.
remember this." Like my mom has a picture of when I was like I took this Christmas photo when I was like 2. And my mom put my hair in curlers the night before. And then we had to wake up crazy early. And we took all these, classic JC Penney Christmas photos. I had a little teddy bear. I was like, I looked adorable. To this day, I look so cute. And I remember my mom and my uncle putting my hair in those curlers the night before, and remember sleeping in my crib so bad because remember when you had, well, you don't, but Jess might, where you had curlers in your hair and then you just move a little bit and you would just tug, and
Hmm.
it was just like you would sleep horrible if you had to sleep in curlers the night before. And I remember as a like 2 years old sleeping so bad and then be just mad the next, like I just felt mad the next day that I had to take photos. Like I was just mad. My mom's
Yep.
like, smile, like yelling at me to smile. So there's like little memories that I have of that. But yeah, for the most part, it's just like random little pockets.
Yep.
Having a dog though, that's the best memory ever.
Right? The first time I saw my dog, and it was my dog for 15 and a half years.
Wow. See,
Yep.
I wish I had good memories like that. I feel like I got like memories of like what Chris had. Like I remember I had a nightmare or like whatever.